We all know League of Legends is a super fun way to pass time, but what do you know beyond that? I'm Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 League of Legends facts you may not already know. Number 10, Korean League of Legends player contracts have specific requirements as to how much they play daily. Now, being this is playing video games for a living, and being damn good at them, it's understandable that they have a certain amount that they need to do, but they're mandated to play at least 12 to 13 hours every day to maintain their skills. These people have to be the absolute best at these games, and this is absolutely work. This isn't, I want to get on League of Legends and waste some time. This is, I need to make myself as good as possible. It's not me complaining, it's pointing out to you that these are people that work with some degree of dedication to be masters of their craft and should be recognized as such. Number 9, that in mind, the US Visa Immigration Services now look at League of Legends as a sport. They now issue travel visas in the same way they do with professional NBA or NHL players. Riot Games eSports VP Dustin Beck said, "This is a watershed moment. It validates eSports as a sport. Now we have the same designation as the NBA or NHL or other professional sports leagues." They had to lobby very hard with the U.S. Immigration and Citizenship Services, and they said a lot of people in the department were actually dismissive because they had to convince the department that League of Legends can offer people the chance to make a living as professionals. Fortunately, numbers are on their side because their viewership is stronger than 80 or 90% of the sports covered on ESPN. Number 8, various universities around the country are now offering athletic scholarships to League of Legends players because they consider them a varsity sport. Now, obviously, they believe that there's money to be made in having players play at their institutions, and this is most certainly validating. Some very high-profile schools have done it, including Robert Morris in Chicago, and even the University of Utah. Number 7, esports is rapidly looking like a viable business model, with former NBA stars like Rick Fox and even Mark Cuban himself taking ownership stakes in teams. The popularity is growing, and because of that, they're trying to take advantage of it, and you know what that means. It's reached critical mass. Number 6, the story of how League of Legends came about is actually fairly interesting. In 1998, a StarCraft mod called Aeon of Strife was created by a community member by the name of Aeon64, and it contained a map that was essentially the blueprint for the entirety of the MOBA genre. Another modder by the name of Yul ported and expanded the mod to Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos when it came out. He renamed it to Defense of the Ancients and expanded it significantly. Another modder made Dota All-Stars by expanding the number of heroes, recipes, and items, and introduced a few new mechanics. And some people in the community began having the idea that it might be better to make a standalone of this that had more variants and more ideas, and these people ended up forming Riot Games. In a Q&A with Mark Merrill, one of the co-founders of Riot Games, League of Legends was born when a couple of very active Dota community members believed that the gameplay was so much fun and so innovative that it represented the spawning of a new genre and deserved to be its own professional game with significantly enhanced features and around game services. Obviously, they delivered on that. Number 5, you might actually be pretty surprised. There are some high-profile voice actors in League of Legends. Laura Bailey, who played Fetch from infamous Second Son, as well as Kate Diaz from Gears of War and Nadine from Uncharted 4, voices Alkali. Kyle Herbert, who played Gohan from Dragon Ball Z, actually voices quite a few voices. Ezreal, Graves, and Jarvan 4. Scott McNeil, who you might know as Piccolo, and various other voices from Dragon Ball Z. He voices both Hikarum and Sion. Greg Chun, who you might know as Winston from Overwatch, voiced Project Yi, and Quentin Flynn, who has done literally a million voices in video games, one of the more high-profile being Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 2, and Onward, voices Jin. Number 4, according to Lee Smith, in a conversation with Christian Linke, the composer at Riot Games, the way that all the squish sounds that Zack makes were made were created when they stuffed a bunch of dog foods and beans inside a condom and slapped it against the wall. Now you might think that sounds absurd. There's no way that's true. If you've ever seen sound designers work, it is not really that far out there. Foley artists, as they're known, regularly make a bunch of very innocuous sounds out of bizarre means. Number 3, a congressman actually plays a lot of League of Legends. Jared Polis, representative from Colorado, is a pretty staunch League of Legends player. It even got him into trouble once, but not in like a heated gaming moment type way, but more in a the company produced an advertisement for him kind of way. Riot Games actually made an ad where he lent his voice to fighting the Stop Online Piracy Act, which was an over-regulation on copyright infringement that would essentially make things much worse. And the House Ethics Committee considered it maybe not necessarily that great. However, they did eventually rule on the idea that it wasn't a problem, and he went back to doing his thing. Number 2, and you may find this one pretty amazing actually, more people watch the League of Legends Championship than the World Series or the NBA Finals. And if you think that's amazing in of itself, this didn't happen recently. The year they crossed the line on that was 2014. And finally, number 1, get ready if you thought that was amazing, around 1% of the world's population, as in 1 out of every 100 people, and if you don't understand how many people that is, there's over 7 billion people on the planet. Around 1% of the world's population plays League of Legends every month. 67 million different players play the game every month. Obviously, these players get concentrated in certain countries where there are a lot more people that play it than in other countries like the US and Korea. I mean, in either of our countries, there's a decent chance that more than 1 out of every 100 people plays League of Legends. When you consider that, and consider that you're probably part of something bigger, it's quite wild. Let's talk about League of Legends in the comments, your best experiences, the things you do in it, whatever. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed now, it'd be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.